Hey guys, what's up? This is Dan from whitepill.tv, and in today's episode I'm going to talk about nicotine and caffeine. Nicotine and caffeine are poisonous. Both are insecticides that plants use to keep away insects. I have stopped consuming both, and I have had episodes in my life where I was consuming a lot of either of them. Particularly caffeine, I started when I was 16, maybe 15, 14. And after I got addicted to it, I basically drank it every day and a lot. That means 1 to 2 liters. I had episodes where I stopped drinking it, but it was always very difficult to go away from them. And 2015, I finally got away from them, but it was a very difficult process to get away from the coffee. I cold turkey stopped around April or May 2015, and then I felt very lethargic and didn't have any energy for weeks. And then I found out that with red ginseng I could get my energy back, and suddenly I was over my caffeine addiction, but only physically. Mentally I still had the addiction in me, and I think I went back to drinking it a few months later, maybe 6 months later. And I was on and off coffee, on and off green tea for a long time. Always stopped it for some time, then continued to drink it. And that went until on July 1st, 2021, I did an MDMA session, and I did an MDMA solo session. And one of the side effects of the solo session was that I suddenly stopped needing caffeine, and the urge completely disappeared from one day to the other. And that was without any withdrawal symptoms. So I think that the caffeine addiction I had was actually rather mental, because I could get it over it with MDMA by curing some of the trauma that was causing that caffeine addiction, and without any side effects. And I had tried to get off caffeine very often, and only could sustain for a few months at a time with that. And the other thing, what I realized is, for example, when I stopped drinking the caffeine in July, what I continued to drink was decaf coffee. And 3 times I ordered a decaffeinated coffee, but I got a regular coffee. And I actually felt how awful that drug is. The last time was actually about 2 weeks ago, when I went to Starbucks. And even though I asked multiple times that it is a decaffeinated coffee, both to the cashier and to the barista who handed me over the coffee, they gave me a caffeinated coffee because I couldn't sleep until 8 a.m. that day. And it felt horrible. It's like my thinking, it was actually like slower, and it was more difficult to focus, and I had a slight headache. And when I was laying in bed, I tried to sleep. I really felt that like my blood pressure was increased. Like it was not feeling healthy, and I took the decision that I stop ordering decaffeinated coffee as well, because if this actually destroyed like a few days. If you're not on caffeine and you're very, very sensitive, and then you have to stay awake until 8 a.m., it completely destroys your week, your day, and it needs a few more days to get back into the old rhythm. And I decided that it's not worth for me the risk to ever get handed a caffeinated coffee again in Starbucks or wherever. I think it must be an issue of the systemization, with the operations. Also HR, to have the failure of hiring people that are able to understand what's the difference between a decaffeinated coffee and a caffeinated coffee. Anyway, and this also happened to me at a smaller chain a smaller independent restaurant a few months before. So I decided, well, at Starbucks this will not happen, but it did happen. So I completely stopped with consumption of any decaffeinated beverages, and instead I drink water and tea from leaves. Anyway, let's go about nicotine. I have consumed a lot of nicotine as well, particularly when I went back from Colombia. I started doing the rapé, where you're blowing nicotine up the nose. And it's kind of interesting that it is a spiritual plant. It's something spiritual, but on the other hand, it is also addictive. Also, mapacho, the strongest tobacco in the world, is also used spiritually. But the big issue is if you're starting to use nicotine without spiritual purpose, then it becomes an addiction. And I was definitely starting to abuse both rapé and mapacho. And yesterday I realized how addictive and problematic nicotine actually is, because I went to a shisha bar. Yesterday I had a shisha here, and I didn't smoke in about 1 month. And after the shisha I also couldn't fall asleep. And I was realizing that also my thinking was a little bit more difficult, and I wasn't feeling 100% at my high performance. So I concluded that the nicotine as well has an issue with performance. When you are off nicotine and caffeine, you don't you realize that actually even a little bit of it can destroy your day. It's kind of a drug that you don't need unless you're addicted to it. So I conclude from that the traumas are bringing people into feeling the need of consumption of nicotine and caffeine. And also what these things are doing, both nicotine and caffeine, are causing dopamine receptors to get flooded with dopamine, because they cause the brain to release a lot of dopamine, and a lot more than usually, and the receptors are flooded, and in the next day you're feeling a little bit lethargic, because you're not getting you might be getting the same amounts of dopamine as before, but you have a lot more receptors, and it's kind of an addiction that where you need to get the next shot in order to feel normal. And however, research actually indicates that after some time the dopamine receptors become normal again. And what I'm going to do to improve that, after being poisoned by both nicotine and caffeine in the past weeks, is that I'm going to do a fast and a dry fast to quickly get my system back up to normal. Also very important for that is a daily meditation habit. I can do more videos on both fasting, dry fasting, and meditation habits in the future. Let me know if you like this video. Please push the like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. Also, you can find a link to sign up to my newsletter in the description. And you will find more information on how you can beat your procrastination.